The sea has always spoken, even when no one listened. Waves arrive, retreat, and whisper their endless tales. Every ripple carries secrets older than time itself. Tonight, we drift together into that ancient current. Imagine standing on a silent shore, the air soft and heavy. Salt fills your lungs, a taste of eternity in each breath. The horizon stretches wide, blurring sky and ocean. There is no beginning, no end, only movement eternal. Sailors once said the sea is a living memory. Each tide remembers what the world has forgotten. In the deep silence, Poseidon waits, patient and vast. He is not only storm, not only wrath, but keeper of balance. His trident does not only strike, it guides and it calls. The flood he commands is more than water, more than fear. It is a cleansing, a passage, a hidden renewal. So let your mind drift now, carried by gentle waves. The surface glimmers, but the truth lies far below. Close your eyes and listen to the ocean's heart. Tonight, we descend into the eternal depth of Poseidon. And there, in the flood, we will find what endures. The waves arrive like soft voices, carrying whispers from a world beyond sight. Each crest bends, breaks, and curls, as though the sea itself leans in to speak. Sailors of old believed these murmurs were not accidents, but messages. They said Poseidon spoke through foam and spray, shaping words from water. On quiet nights, fishermen leaned from their boats, listening to the hush. They swore they heard stories in the rhythm of the tide. Some tales warned of storms, others promised safe return home. But the oldest voices, the faintest ones, spoke of mysteries far deeper. The ocean, they said, does not only hold fish, sand, and salt. It holds memory, layers of time stacked like shells on the seabed. Every wave that touches the shore carries echoes of centuries before. A child once asked his father why the waves never stopped moving. The father smiled and said, "Because stories never stop being told." In those words lived a truth as wide as the horizon itself. The sea is not silent, though many think it so. Its language is not letters or sounds, but rhythm and pull. The rising tide is a question. The falling tide is an answer. And between them lies a pause, a silence rich with meaning. Stand by the water's edge, and you will feel it. The air vibrates with a secret, too large for human breath. The whisper of waves is the ocean's ancient conversation. It speaks to the sand, to the moon, to the waiting stars. It speaks to the cliffs that crumble, grain by grain, into the tide. It speaks to the ships that cross, their sails filled with borrowed wind. But most of all, it speaks to those who dare to listen, not with ears alone, but with hearts that lean into wonder. Poseidon's voice is not thunder in the sky. Those storms are his cloak. His voice is in the rhythm, constant, steady, eternal. He is the pulse that guides the moon's silver pull. He is the whisper that makes the sea seem alive. The whisper of the waves is not merely sound. It is a reminder that we are small, yet connected. A ripple here becomes a surge on some distant shore. A whisper here becomes a song beneath another sky. No drop of water is ever alone, no wave without kin. Together, they form the voice of something greater than sight. To the listener, it may sound like lullaby. To the dreamer, it may sound like prophecy. But to those who fear, it may sound like warning. Because the sea does not flatter. It does not soften its truths. It speaks with clarity, with patience, with endless repetition. Always the same, yet never the same. That is the wonder of the whisper of waves. Each one is unique, and yet all belong to the same chorus. Close your eyes and imagine hearing that chorus now. Thousands of waves rise, fall, dissolve, and return. They do not argue. They do not tire. They move in rhythm with the breath of the earth itself. Long before ships sailed, before maps were drawn, the waves whispered. And long after we are gone, they will whisper still. Their language will outlast stone, wood, and iron. Even the tallest city will one day crumble, but the tide will remain. Each whisper carries with it Poseidon's timeless presence. He does not need temples of marble to be remembered. His temple is here in the shifting music of water. His prayer is here in the hush of foam upon sand. So, when the waves call, pause and listen. Do not rush, do not turn away. For in their endless whisper, you may hear eternity. The ocean is vast, but its depth is more than distance measured in miles. It is a realm where silence is alive, heavy with unseen presence. In this silence, Poseidon waits, not as a tyrant, but as a guardian. He does not dwell upon the surface where ships come and go. His true throne rests far below, in chambers of endless blue. There the sea does not roar or rage, but hums with eternal calm. The eternal depth is not a place of fear, but of balance. It is where stillness teaches and patience becomes divine. Poseidon's presence here is not thunderous, but steady, like a heartbeat. He is the pulse of tides, the rhythm beneath the waves. His trident glows faintly, not in menace, but in light. 3 points of power, bound together in harmony, not division. Each point speaks, to the sky above, to the earth below, to the waters eternal. Together, they remind the world of the fragile thread of balance. Sailors feared storms, yet they prayed for safe passage from Poseidon. They knew his rage was only half the truth of his power. For beyond rage lies wisdom, deep as the trench itself. The eternal depth is his library, where currents write on invisible scrolls. Every creature, every coral, every shell is a page in this book. Each detail contributes to the vast story the sea is telling. Those who dive deep enough do not hear silence. They hear the gentle hum of a god's quiet watch. The eternal depth is not empty, but full of unseen wonders. Light fades, yet in darkness, another vision begins to glow. Jellyfish drift like lanterns, carrying their own starlight. Whales sing verses that echo like hymns of the deep. Mountains rise from the seafloor, crowned with forests of coral. This is Poseidon's realm, sacred and untouched by human hands. Not a palace of gold, but of water, shadow, and light. Its walls are living, shifting, flowing, eternal. Here Poseidon rules not by force, but by presence. His voice is in the current, his breath in the tide. He does not shout commands. He does not strike without cause. Instead, he waits, steady, patient, like the sea itself. The eternal depth is his reminder to humankind. That power need not always roar to be felt. That silence may hold truths louder than storms. The sea's surface may trick us with chaos and fury. But below, in the eternal depth, there is clarity. Clarity born of patience, time, and unshaken balance. A fisherman once dreamed of sinking far beneath the waves. He said he saw a throne made not of stone, but of water. Poseidon sat upon it, still as the seabed, vast as the horizon. His eyes held not anger, but unmeasurable distance and calm. The fisherman woke, forever changed by what he saw. He never feared storms again, for he knew the truth. The storms were only the surface, never the soul. The eternal depth was the god's true face, endless and steady. And so the people learned to honor both calm and storm, to bow not to fear, but to the vastness of balance. Poseidon's eternal depth teaches us to look beyond the obvious, to see the truth that waits beneath appearances. The sea may rage above, yet wisdom dwells below. And if we learn to listen, the depth will speak. not in thunder, not in roar, but in silence eternal. The silence of Poseidon, the keeper of balance, the heart of the sea. There was once a flood unlike any other, a tide that came not with fury, but with silence. It rose slowly, as if the sea itself was breathing deeper than ever before. Villages by the coast watched the horizon blur, swallowed by endless blue. Yet there was no scream of thunder, no violence in the air, only calm. The flood was not born to destroy, but to cleanse what time had forgotten. Old stones, broken walls, and footprints faded beneath the rising tide. It felt as though the sea was gently lifting away the weight of the past. People stood by the shore, uncertain, yet strangely unafraid of the water. It moved with grace, carrying stories, not ruin, into its endless embrace. Elders whispered that Poseidon had opened a passage between worlds, that this flood was not wrath, but a veil of renewal spread upon the earth. The water was heavy, yet it carried a strange light within its depth. Fish swam through streets, their scales glimmering like falling stars. Boats floated where no river had ever touched before. Children reached out their hands, laughing as silver currents wrapped them. The flood was a mirror, showing what was fragile and what would endure. It was not destruction, but transformation in liquid form. Houses leaned, fields disappeared, but the air carried no despair. Instead, there was awe, as if the world was watching itself reborn. Those who remembered said the silence was the most powerful part. It was not the silence of absence, but of presence too vast for words. Poseidon's hand was felt, though no trident struck, no storm was raised. The sea was rising as a teacher, not as a punishment. Every street turned to canal, every hill to island crowned with trees. The people discovered new paths, moving with the current, not against it. They learned that survival was not resistance, but acceptance of flow. The flood carried away not just soil, but sorrow long buried within hearts. It washed grief from memory, leaving space for something new to grow. The silence taught them patience, the water taught them surrender, and surrender became strength, a strength gentler than stone or steel. When the flood finally rested, the land was not ruined, but reshaped. Fresh rivers curved where none had ever run before. Fields, once dry, blossomed with green richer than any had known. The flood was not an ending, but the beginning of something unseen. It was Poseidon's reminder that endings and beginnings are the same, that water erases, but also writes anew upon the canvas of earth. To this day, the story of the silent flood is told at every shore, not as a warning, but as a blessing carried from wave to wave. It is said that if you listen closely when tides rise high, you will hear the hush of that ancient flood, still whispering of renewal. And in that hush, Poseidon's depth speaks of life, not loss. For the flood eternal is not a curse, but a gift of transformation. Beneath the restless surface, the sea carries a hidden song too deep for ordinary ears. It begins as a hum, faint as a memory, carried through shifting tides and wandering currents. The ocean is not silent. It sings in tones older than the mountains themselves. Every ripple above is an echo of a greater melody below. Sailors spoke of hearing this music when the night was calmest. They said it lulled their ships as if rocking them in a cradle of sound. Some dismissed it as wind, some as the creak of wood on waves. But others knew it was a voice far older, deeper, and more alive. Poseidon's song is not sung in words, but in vibration and rhythm. It threads through the calls of whales, vast and mournful as prayers. It lingers in the clicks of dolphins, bright and playful as laughter. It weaves through the shifting of sand, the pulse of the tide itself. The song beneath the surface is not one voice, but countless voices together. It is a choir of the ocean, directed by Poseidon's steady hand. Each note is water, each pause is silence, each verse is movement. Together, they form the hymn of the deep, eternal and unbroken. Divers who descend far enough sometimes claim they feel it in their bones. The sound vibrates through their hearts, steady as a second heartbeat. They return to the surface with eyes wide, unable to describe the music. For the song is not meant for words, but for spirit. It is heard best not with ears, but with wonder itself. A legend tells of a shepherd who once fell asleep by the shore. He dreamed he was beneath the sea, surrounded by glowing creatures. They circled him in silence, but he heard a song all around. It rose and fell like the breath of the earth, endless and vast. When he awoke, tears ran down his face, though he did not know why. From then on, he returned to the sea each night, listening for the music. For him, it was not merely sound, but a calling. A reminder that life above and below the waves is bound by rhythm. The song beneath the surface is not only Poseidon's, but ours. Every heartbeat, every breath, joins the rhythm of the sea. We are not apart from its music, but part of its eternal verse. When storms rage, the song grows loud, like drums against the sky. When calm returns, it softens, as gentle as a lullaby. The melody never ceases, only changes shape, like the shifting tide. It is the constant thread through chaos and calm alike. In this song lies Poseidon's truest message to the world, that harmony is not silence, but many voices moving together. That the smallest ripple and the greatest wave share the same music. The sea teaches us that unity does not erase difference. It weaves every sound, every rhythm, into one eternal hymn. Those who pause to listen may hear it even on dry land. In the wind moving through trees, in the rain against rooftops, in the hush of rivers, in the echo of distant thunder. All are echoes of the song beneath the surface. So close your eyes now, and let yourself drift into that music. Hear the deep hum of whales carrying across the blue cathedral. Hear the bright chatter of dolphins weaving through the chorus. Hear the pulse of tides, slow and endless, steady as time itself. This is the song Poseidon keeps, the voice of water eternal. It is the hymn of the deep, a song of balance and life. And when you listen, truly listen, you will find yourself within it. For the song beneath the surface is not just the oceans. It is the heartbeat of the world, the song of us all. The ocean holds more than tides and tempests. It guards secrets carved in stone. Far below the waves lies a kingdom hidden from mortal sight. It is a realm of coral towers, glowing arches, and endless blue halls. Here, Poseidon's presence is not legend, but living truth. His palace rises from the seabed, like a mountain of pearl and light. Columns of shell and crystal shimmer with a glow not born of the sun. Schools of silver fish move like curtains, veiling and unveiling the gates. Whales circle slowly, as if guardians of an unspoken vow. The palace does not stand in silence, but hums with a sacred energy. It is the pulse of the ocean itself, flowing in and out like breath. Inside, corridors stretch as vast as valleys, lined with coral mosaics. Each mosaic tells a story. Storms quelled, ships guided, lives spared. The walls sing with memory, echoing the deeds of centuries past. There are no torches, for the light comes from within the water itself. It glows with hues of green, blue, and gold, alive with mystery. In the heart of this palace lies Poseidon's throne. It is not a chair, but a great, living coral grown into form. Shells spiral upward, carved by time and tide into sacred curves. The throne hums with a resonance that echoes in the chest of all who near. Here, the god of the sea listens, not as ruler alone, but as keeper. He hears the song of whales, the whispers of currents, the prayers of sailors. Every sound of the ocean reaches him, woven into one great harmony. His trident rests by his side, glowing faintly with power drawn from the deep. It is not merely a weapon, but a conductor of the sea's eternal song. Legends say the palace is alive, shifting with the moods of its master. When Poseidon is calm, the palace shines bright and serene. When he is restless, the walls tremble like the sea before a storm. Yet it is not fear that reigns here, but balance. Every creature knows this palace as the heart of the ocean's rhythm. Here, dolphins play in the courtyards, leaping through arches of light. Sea turtles glide slowly along corridors like wandering monks. Even the smallest fish swims without fear, embraced by harmony. For in this place, violence has no dwelling, only order and song. The palace teaches a truth forgotten by those on land, that strength is not chaos, but harmony given form. That leadership is not dominance, but listening to every voice in the tide. Poseidon's throne room holds a great shell shaped like a harp. When the currents touch it, music fills the water like prayer. Each note seems to reach beyond the ocean, touching sky and land. It is said that those who listen feel the weight of eternity lift. For the harp sings of a truth older than gods or men, that all life is waterborne and all return to the deep. Even the stars, reflected on the sea, seem part of this rhythm. The palace reminds those who see it that they are not apart. They are woven into the same current that flows through all things. Some say lucky divers once glimpsed a shimmer of its gates, but when they swam closer, it vanished like a dream. Perhaps it was the ocean's way of showing what lies beyond reach. Perhaps it was Poseidon's way of reminding mortals to listen, not to take. For the palace is not a treasure to be found, but a truth to be felt. It is the heart of the ocean, eternal and unbroken. It beats with Poseidon's will, but also with the life of every wave. Close your eyes, and you may feel its hum within you now. Not as stone, not as coral, but as rhythm itself. The palace of Poseidon does not merely exist in the sea. It exists wherever water flows, wherever life beats in harmony. Beneath the surface lies more than a palace. There are guardians of the tide. They are not beasts of war, but spirits woven of water and light. Each one carries a fragment of the ocean's memory, older than stone. Legends call them the tide keepers, eternal stewards of the deep. They do not rule. They serve balance, guiding currents with unseen hands. Some drift like shadows, their forms vast as whales, yet gentle as clouds. Others glow like lanterns, weaving threads of light through endless blue. They whisper to the waves, and the sea listens in silence. Fishermen speak of strange encounters under silver moonlight, a shape rising beneath the waves, immense yet peaceful, eyes glowing like pearls, gazing without anger or hunger. A tidekeeper passing, carrying the weight of centuries unseen. They are not often glimpsed, for they prefer the hidden depths, but their work is felt in every tide and every calm. When storms gather, it is the tidekeepers who temper the rage. They bend the fury into rhythm, sparing shores from ruin. When waters fall still, it is they who breathe motion back into them. Every ripple, every surge, carries their unseen touch. In the halls of Poseidon's palace, they stand in silent vigil, not as soldiers, but as living symbols of harmony. Each tidekeeper holds a distinct form, shaped by the sea itself. One draped in flowing kelp, her voice a song that soothes whales. Another cloaked in coral, his body glowing with gentle fire. One small as a dolphin, darting swift as lightning between waves. Another vast as a mountain, slow, patient, eternal in movement. Together they embody the ocean's endless faces. The playful, the calm, the fierce, the eternal. They do not sleep, for the sea itself does not rest. Their watch is constant, their purpose unshaken. Travelers who hear their song often return changed. They speak of a calm unlike any known on land. A peace that enters the heart, soft as tide on sand. It is said that tide keepers remind us of forgotten truths. That strength is gentleness, and power is balance. That even the smallest drop is part of the great whole. One tale tells of a young diver lost in dark waters. Her light failed, her air thinning, fear pressing close. Then a glow surrounded her, soft and steady. A tide keeper led her upward, guiding without touch. When she broke the surface, she swore she heard a song. It was not human, not words, but a comfort deeper than speech. Since then, she returned each year, leaving gifts by the shore. For she knew she was never truly alone in the sea. The tide keepers are not guardians of treasure or throne. They are guardians of rhythm, ensuring balance flows eternal. Without them, the ocean would rage unchecked, chaos without end. With them, it becomes song, vast and unbroken. Sailors pray not to the gods alone, but to these spirits, for they are closer, more immediate, listening in silence. They guide without demand, protect without pride, and in their presence, fear dissolves into wonder. Close your eyes now and imagine the sea at rest, the slow rise and fall like breath of the world itself. That is the tide keepers, always present, always unseen. They are the gentle hands of Poseidon, shaping water into harmony. They are the eternal guardians, keepers of balance, singers of the deep. Far beyond the reach of sunlight, the ocean guards a secret garden of wonders. It is a place few mortals have seen, where the sea blooms in silence. Coral rises like forests, branches stretching toward the dark ceiling above. Every color glimmers faintly, painted by creatures that glow without flame. It is as if stars themselves have fallen to dwell in the deep. This garden is not empty. It breathes with endless forms of life. Creatures glide between corals, each more strange and beautiful than the last. Some shimmer like glass, transparent but filled with light. Others trail long ribbons, flowing like banners through the current. Tiny sparks drift like fireflies, moving in patterns as if dancing. Together, they weave a tapestry of motion, light, and stillness. It is not chaos, but a rhythm that feels ancient and deliberate. The sea here is hushed, as though holding its breath in reverence. This is the ocean's sanctuary, a place untouched by storm or war. It is said Poseidon himself carved this haven from silence. Not for himself, but for the creatures of the sea to find peace. Here, even predators lay aside their hunger and swim in harmony. The sanctuary is balance embodied, a refuge within the vast unknown. Sailors who dream of it describe a light softer than the moon. They see gardens of coral glowing with colors words cannot hold. They wake with tears, as if homesick for a place never known. Some believe these dreams are invitations from Poseidon. Others believe they are memories, carried by water into sleeping minds. Whatever the truth, the sanctuary remains hidden to most eyes. Its gates are not made of stone, but of silence and trust. Only those with hearts open to wonder may glimpse its light. There is a story of a child lost at sea in a storm. Her raft broke, the waves carrying her far from shore. But when she sank beneath, she did not drown. Instead, she drifted into the glowing garden below. Creatures circled her gently, guiding her through coral arches. A tidekeeper appeared, vast and luminous, holding her without touch. She did not fear, for the sanctuary welcomed her as one of its own. When the storm passed, she found herself on a quiet beach. Though she lived, she carried the glow of the deep in her eyes, and she spoke of the sanctuary until her final breath. The ocean sanctuary is more than a refuge. It is a song. Its melody is not sung by one voice, but countless together. Each glowing fish, each coral branch, each drifting light is a note. Together, they form a hymn to life itself. When the sanctuary breathes, the ocean beyond feels its calm. Storms soften, waves grow gentle, tides find their rhythm. It is as though the sea listens to its own heart here. Even Poseidon is said to pause when near, humbled by its beauty. For the sanctuary is not his creation alone, but the ocean's gift to itself. It reminds the sea of what it is beyond fury and force, a cradle of life, tender and eternal, bound in harmony. Those who wander too far from its gates feel its absence. The waters grow colder, the silence heavy, the light dim. They know they have left the sanctuary, though they never saw its walls. But the memory lingers, like a song carried in the soul. The ocean sanctuary is not found on maps, nor claimed by men. It lives wherever harmony is honored, wherever life glows in peace. Perhaps, if you close your eyes, you may see it too. A place of coral, light, and endless song beneath the sea. It waits not for conquest, but for wonder. Not for power, but for reverence. And if you hear its silence, you will know the truth. That the greatest treasure of the ocean is not hidden gold. It is harmony itself, eternal, glowing, and alive. Beneath the wide horizon lies a place where sea and sky embrace as one. It is the eternal meeting ground, where waves climb to kiss the clouds. Here, Poseidon's presence stretches beyond the deep into the heavens above. The horizon is not a line, but a living threshold between two realms. Sailors often gaze toward it, hearts heavy with longing and hope. For them, the horizon is a promise of lands unseen, dreams unspoken. Yet beneath its beauty hides a truth older than their wandering. The horizon is Poseidon's veil, drawn between the sea and sky. It shifts with the day, from silver dawn to crimson dusk. Each color tells a story of balance between light and tide. When the morning rises, the horizon hums with gentle expectation. When the sun sets, it glows like fire reflected on endless waves. But when night falls, the horizon disappears into the stars. In that darkness, sea and sky become indistinguishable, eternal, and vast. Sailors whisper of shapes rising at the edge of sight. Not ships, not clouds, but vast beings woven of water and air. They call them the horizon walkers, guardians of the ocean's edge. Their steps ripple like thunder, their voices like the hush of waves. They walk not on land, nor on sea, but in the space between. Each step is said to bind the sky to the sea with harmony. Some claim to hear them in the quiet before dawn, a deep resonance, like a drum, echoing from the horizon. Others swear they saw a silhouette moving where no man could stand. But always, the vision fades, leaving only light on the water. Poseidon placed the horizon walkers as keepers of balance. For if sea and sky drift apart, the world would unravel. Rain would cease, rivers would dry, the song of the ocean would fade. The walkers ensure that the cycle of water never breaks, that clouds rise from the sea, that rain returns to rivers, that tides follow the moon, that storms give way to calm. They are not feared, but revered, symbols of eternal return. For life itself depends upon their unseen steps across the edge. Legends tell of a ship lost in endless fog at sea. Its crew despaired, food and water dwindling, hope slipping away. Then a figure appeared, tall and vast upon the horizon. With one gesture, the fog parted, the stars returned above. The crew followed the light of dawn to safety. And though they never saw the figure again, they gave thanks. They knew a horizon walker had guided them back to balance. The horizon is not distance, but promise made visible. It is the edge where endings and beginnings meet. Every wave that rolls toward it is part of the same story. Every cloud that drifts away is bound to return. Even the stars reflected on the sea are part of this cycle. They rise, they set, yet always return to shine again. The horizon teaches that separation is illusion, that sea and sky are not apart, but two halves of one whole. When sailors watch the horizon, they are watching eternity unfold, not an end, but a passage, a rhythm without cease. Poseidon's will is written there, across the shifting line of light, not in words, but in the harmony of sea and sky. The horizon is his eternal signature, drawn new each day. It reminds us that life too is a cycle, not a line. That endings fold into beginnings, that every loss carries return. So next time you look toward the horizon, let its truth settle in you. It is not distance, nor barrier, but invitation. An open door where sea and sky meet, eternal and boundless. A reminder that all things are connected, flowing endlessly as one. And in its glow, Poseidon's harmony endures, unbroken and eternal. Beneath the calm of the surface, there lies a kingdom woven of silence and depth. It is the realm where sunlight fades, where shadows take on their own light. Here, Poseidon's touch is strongest, unseen yet undeniable in its vast embrace. The deep ocean is not empty, but filled with secrets unspoken and unseen. Every current carries whispers, every echo tells of ancient beginnings. Fish glide through water like stars adrift in a midnight sky. Their scales shimmer faintly, lanterns guiding the way in endless dark. The deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes, almost sacred. The weight of the water presses down, heavy yet protective. It is as though you are entering the beating heart of the sea. Some call it the abyss, others the eternal hall of Poseidon. It is neither fear nor void, but a sanctuary of endless presence. Here dwell beings unlike any on the surface of the earth. Creatures of light and shadow, born to dance in silent waters. Some glow like candles drifting through cathedral halls of black. Others move unseen, their outlines hinted at by passing shimmer. The deep is not chaos, but a symphony of stillness and flow. Even the silence has rhythm, a pulse older than mankind. Legends say Poseidon himself walks these halls when storms cease above. His steps ripple the abyss, his gaze awakens sleeping leviathans. These leviathans are not monsters, but keepers of the deep balance. They rest curled in trenches, rising only when called by his will. Their forms stretch wider than mountains, yet they move like whispers. To see one is to glimpse eternity, wrapped in scales and silence. But most who pass here see only flickers, never the whole truth. The abyss guards its mysteries well, revealing only what is needed. For not all who enter are ready to hear its silent song. A story tells of a pearl, hidden deep within a trench. It was said to glow with the light of 1,000 dawns. Sailors dreamed of finding it, thinking it a jewel of riches. But when one descended, guided by greed, the pearl dimmed. His lantern failed, his ship sank. The abyss swallowed him whole. Not as punishment, but as a lesson unheeded and forgotten. The pearl was never for wealth, but for wisdom of the deep. Those who sought it with pure heart saw only reflection of themselves. They realized that the light was never in stone, but in spirit. The abyss teaches by silence, by patience, by eternal waiting. It asks nothing, yet offers everything to those who listen. Many fear its darkness, but darkness is not absence, only depth. It is the canvas upon which light reveals its truest form. Without the abyss, no wave would rise, no storm would fall. It anchors the sea. It steadies Poseidon's vast kingdom. Even stars in the sky owe their brilliance to surrounding night. So too does the deep make every surface shimmer with life. The abyss is not far away, but beneath our every step. Every drop of water carries memory of its ancient halls. When you stand at the shore, listening to waves retreat, remember this, that the deep is calling, softly, endlessly, without demand or fear. It asks only that you honor its silence, its infinite patience. For in its embrace lies the heart of Poseidon's eternal depth, a place where beginnings and endings dissolve into stillness. A reminder that the greatest mysteries dwell not above, but below, and that even in darkness, there is always light waiting to be found. Above the waters where gulls cry and sails drift, the winds carry their own story. They dance across the ocean, unseen hands shaping every wave and current. Poseidon does not command the winds, yet they honor his vast dominion. Together, they weave the endless fabric of motion across the sea. Every gust is a messenger, traveling from distant lands and skies. It whispers of mountains, deserts, and forests before kissing the waves. When the winds meet, the sea, the dance begins without pause. The waves rise, crest, and fall in rhythm with their unseen partner. This dance is eternal, a balance between force and yielding grace. Some winds arrive gentle, stroking the surface with tender fingers. They guide fishermen home, carry scents of land long before it is seen. Others arrive fierce, tearing at sails and pushing ships to surrender. But even the fiercest gusts are not malice, only power untamed. For in their wildness, the winds remind us of nature's breath. They are not foe nor friend, but the voice of the sky. Sailors learned long ago to read their language with care. A sudden shift in direction meant storms waiting beyond sight. A steady breeze meant safe passage toward lands yet unseen. Legends say that in the oldest days, winds spoke in words. They carried songs of gods, secrets of earth, prayers of mankind. But as the world grew noisy, their voice faded into whispers. Only those who listen deeply can still hear their quiet hymns. Poseidon respects the winds, for without them, seas would stagnate. They stir the surface, guiding currents, ensuring endless renewal. Some believe the winds are siblings of the sea born together. The sea carries memory, while the winds carry voice. Together, they create harmony, weaving Earth's eternal song. In ancient tales, a sailor was caught in endless calm. No wind, no movement, only the suffocating stillness of the sea. Days passed, hope dimmed, until he prayed to both sea and sky. Then, a single gust arrived, gentle as a sigh. It filled his sails, carried him home across silver waves. He knew then the winds had heard, and the sea had answered. The dance of wind and water is not always gentle. Storms are born when their rhythm quickens, when harmony trembles. Clouds gather, waves rise, and the world feels the breath of chaos. Yet storms, too, are part of balance, a renewal of cycles. They cleanse the skies, stir the oceans, and test the strength of ships. When calm returns, the sea glows brighter, as if reborn. The winds, spent of fury, soften again to gentle whispers. Sailors say that Poseidon rides the winds when storms grow fierce, not to punish, but to remind mortals of humility at sea. For the sea cannot be owned, only respected, only embraced. The winds are his allies, his eternal partners in movement. Without them, his realm would lie still, lifeless, unchanging. With them, the waters sing, dance, and breathe forevermore. The winds connect the sea to distant worlds beyond its edge. They carry pollen, seeds, and whispers from one shore to another. They bind the earth together, unseen yet vital, eternal in motion. To stand at the shore and feel the breeze is to listen, to hear not just air, but the oldest story still unfolding. The winds remind us that we are part of the same rhythm. That breath itself is a tide, rising and falling within us. And as waves embrace the shore, winds embrace the sea. Together, they dance, eternal partners in Poseidon's boundless song. A song of movement, of connection, of endless renewal. A reminder that the world is alive in every breath, every wave. And that harmony endures, carried by the winds and written on the sea. The sea has spoken, and we have followed its voice into shadow and light. From the gentle shore to the deepest abyss, its story has carried us. We have walked with waves, listened to winds, and gazed at endless horizons. Each part of the ocean revealed not fear, but truth hidden in rhythm. Poseidon's realm is not one of chaos, but of harmony eternal. Every tide is a breath, every storm a reminder of balance renewed. The flood is not destruction, but cleansing, a passage into new becoming. It washes away illusion, revealing the bond of all living things. The horizon taught us that separation is only a veil of sight. The abyss showed that silence carries wisdom beyond mortal words. The winds whispered that movement is life, and breath is part of the sea. Every lesson flows into the next, forming the eternal depth of Poseidon. He is not a distant god, but presence felt in every wave. His trident does not strike to wound, but to guide and awaken. It is the compass of the deep, pointing always to renewal. The sailors of old knew this, though they clothed it in myth. They spoke of leviathans, pearls, and guardians of horizon and tide. But beneath the tales, the truth was always the same harmony. That life rises and falls as the sea itself does, without end. We too are waves, each moment cresting, breaking, returning to the whole. No breath is lost, no life forgotten, only folded into the current. This is the eternal flood, not of ruin, but of returning. A reminder that even in endings, beginnings are already stirring. And in beginnings, endings are quietly waiting, patient as the tide. The ocean has no final word, only endless continuation. Poseidon's depth is not a destination, but a cycle unbroken. To stand at the shore is to stand at the threshold of eternity. To hear the waves is to hear the song of existence itself. And to close your eyes at night is to drift back into its embrace. We are children of the sea, shaped by water, carried by tide. Our veins mirror its currents, our hearts beat in rhythm with waves. What we fear as flood is only return to where we began. What we call storm is only the sea's reminder that we belong. Even the stars above are reflected in the waters below. Sky and sea, breath and wave, body and soul are never apart. The flood eternal is not to be resisted, but embraced. It does not come to end us, but to carry us further, to cleanse, to restore, to remind us of the whole. So as we leave this story, remember that the sea is not silent. Every ripple speaks, every breeze carries its hymn, every tide its teaching. You do not need to seek Poseidon, for you already walk within him. He is the salt on your skin, the rhythm in your breath, He is the whisper in stillness, the roar in the storm. He is the keeper of balance, eternal as the horizon itself. And when you next hear the ocean, know it is not outside you. It is within, flowing, eternal, guiding you to return. For the flood is not ending, but the eternal depth of Poseidon. And in that depth, we are never lost, only found again.